Okay, we've had an inquiry from Tom, who's on the Beeswax Racing Discord, about how people set up their Formula V2 wheels. So I thought I'd just throw this quick, very quick guide together. One thing to note, Tom, in terms of when you do I've found using the wheel that if you have a bit of an emergency and you really bring the wheel down, your hand can roll a bit and you can hit these outside buttons. So be careful what you use these outside buttons for. You can hit them by accident in an extreme maneuver. But if you're crashing anyway, you might not worry too much. What I used to use this button for was which camera. So if I was having a bad accident, I'd suddenly find the camera had flipped to outside the car and it made recovery even worse. So what I use that for now is to change the map display that's on the hood. So you can cycle through having no map, having just around the car map, or having the full track map, which I actually find quite handy, especially in quality if you're looking for a gap. The middle button here I use to flash the lights. And I move cycle camera to this button. So if I need to flick through over different cameras in car, out car, I can use that button. That button is actually mapped to save replay. Not where I ever use it. I always use my macro to save the race when I pit. I don't use that button at all. And that button is back, as you saw. So that'll go backwards. Or I also use that when I'm in the car to reset the VR view. So it'll re-centralize my VR. I use this rotary control to cycle the MFD up and down, which is in the lower left-hand corner of the hood when you're racing. So I find that really useful. And then you can use the funky switch to go through the various options of the menus. Once you set the MFD, then use the funky switch to go up and down the menu options. On the right-hand rotary switch, I've set the up to cycle the secondary display. The secondary display is a little blue box that's in the car. If I cycle that up one, I can then put it on the delta for the lap, so see how plus and minus down without having to look up to the top left. I used to have down to change the main view, and it used to be able to change between no HUD, etc. But I found if I hit that in the race, it was a bit of a nightmare. So I leave that rotary down, is currently unused by me. I don't use this joystick for anything. I'd usually assign press on that first push to talk on Discord, so it's unused, so you can press that in. I have this button mapped to turn the lights on, the headlights, so once it just cycle through the lights, so once to turn the lights on, then once again for full beam. This button is generally OK and enter for all menus, so I leave that on default. I use this toggle switch to do the engine maps, so up is increase the engine map and down is decrease the engine map, because you don't use that very often. And I use this toggle switch to do the back and forward brake balance, so increase and decrease the brake bias. Again, not something I change very often. These two rotaries, I have the left rotary mapped to the main traction control, and this rotary mapped to the secondary traction control. Not all cars have two TCs, but I'll leave that one mapped to it, so even if I switch to a different car, I've got the second TC mapped. You can't use that middle rotary. For ABS setting, I use the fact that you can rotate the funky switch. So I increase and decrease ABS from rocking that back and forth. That button's unmapped. That button is for the rain light, and that button is for pause and bring up the menu. And that is about the extent of it. At the back, I've only got the basic paddles, so I've just got up and down gear shifts. Hope that helps. That's how I've got the wheel set out, and I've got used to it over time. You enjoy yourself.